Now, sometimes they're not going to make it so easy to simplify these fractions. Sometimes we're going to have to factorize first to put it into a form where I can start to cancel things out. So we might get something like this. Just checking my pens there. Perfect. So x plus 2 and 5x plus 10. Now, sometimes what we often see is we see x in the top, x in the bottom, I can cancel those out. Now, we're not allowed to do that because they're not multiplying everything there. Okay, because they're adding, we can't cancel them out. So it's different to the ones that we were looking at on the last slide. We need to try and factorize first. Now, the top doesn't factorize. There's no common factor. It's not a difference of two squares. It's not a trinomial. The bottom bit does, however. So we're looking to see, is there a common factor? Is there a difference of two squares? Or is there a trinomial? Now, 5 and 10, there is a common factor. So I can rewrite this. X plus 2 on the top is going to stay the same. And I've got a common factor of 5. And if I take out a common factor of 5, I'm going to be left with x plus 2. Now, I've got something on the top and something on the bottom that match now. And so I'm allowed to cancel those out. And I'm allowed to cancel them out because that x plus 2 on the bottom is in a bracket, and that's multiplying the 5. So because technically there is still that addition, but because it is multiplying that 5, I'm now allowed to cancel those out. And when I cancel those out, I'm going to be left with, well, everything on the top's gone, so I'm left with 1 over 5. So what I'm doing there is I'm factorizing the top and the bottom. Okay, make sure you're checking to see and continue with your checklist. So I should say for my checklist there wasn't a difference of two squares and there wasn't a trinomial. Once you've factorized the top and bottom, you're looking to cancel out these brackets, or sometimes maybe there's a coefficient at the front. Okay, it wasn't in that case. And then you're checking to see, is my answer fully simplified? Right, there's one on the right hand side for you to try. Take as long as you need, pause the video if you need to, and then press play. Right, bottom doesn't factorize, x plus 2 is the same. Now 5x plus 10, common factor, difference of two squares, trinomial. There's a common factor, that's going to be 5, and I'm going to be left with x plus 2 all over x plus 2, no difference of two squares, no trinomial. Cancel out the x plus 2's, and I'm going to be left with 5 over 1, and 5 over 1 is just 5. You must simplify 5 over 1. You cannot leave it as 5 over 1. You must write it as 5, or else the SQA will say that it's not fully simplified and you'll lose a mark for that. Okay, so really, really important that you're changing 5 over 1 to the whole number 5. Right, let's try a trickier one. So this time, top, let's see, common factor, difference of two squares, and trinomial. So there's no common factor. There's no difference of two squares, however, there is a trinomial. So I'm looking for a factor pair of 6 that has a sum of 5. So multiply to get me 6, but add to get me 5. I'm going to use 2 and 3. Now I need 2 and 3 to make plus 5, so it'll be plus 2 and plus 3. And then the bottom, let's look for common factor, difference of two squares, and trinomial. So common factor, yes, there's a common factor 2 in there. So I'll take out 2 and x plus 2. There's no difference of two squares, there's no trinomial. Now I can see already that I've got two brackets that are matching there. So I've got x plus 2 and x plus 2. And then I'm going to be left with x plus 3 all over 2. None of that simplifies, and so that's me finished. Now, if I didn't get the same bracket, that's a hint that you've done something wrong with your factorizing. Okay, these will always cancel out in some way or another. They're not going to give you one that doesn't cancel. So if you can't find brackets that are matching, that you can cancel out, then you've done something wrong. So let's try this one. Again, if you want to take a time to try it yourself first, pause the video, take as long as you need. Common factor, difference of two squares, trinomial. No common factor, no difference of two squares, but there is a trinomial. So it's going to go to, in fact, it's the same as the one I just did. So multiply to get you 6, factor pair 6 with a sum of 5. So it'll be 2 and 3. Plus 5 will be plus 2 and plus 3. On the bottom, there's no common factor. There's no difference of two squares. And there's no trinomial. However, I can see that I've got x plus 2 and x plus 2. So that's an indicator that I've done something right here. I'll be left with x plus 3 on the top, 1 on the bottom. And just like that 5 over 1, I need to simplify that to x plus 3 as a whole. Okay? Some questions for you to try. And I'll scroll down so you can try the ones from the bottom. And then once you've done those, always important that you are marking your answers to check your understanding.